there are really two options. If you choose one of them, you can't choose the other one. You know, you're gonna buy a car, you're gonna buy either a red car or a yellow car, okay? But you're gonna buy one car. If you buy the red car, you can't buy the yellow car. Or you have budget constraints. Basically, you don't have enough money to accept more than one project. So you can pick only one if you choose one. In these cases, accept the project that has the highest NPV, provided that uh, selected project would have been acceptable on its own. So if all the projects have negative NPV, just because you can pick only one doesn't mean you have to pick one. You can pick at most one. If all the projects have negative net present value, you say, okay, I'm not touching any one of them. And sometimes one of the projects is, technically speaking, there is always a status quo. Okay, not doing anything is one of the projects, right? So a standalone projects is technically a mutually exclusive projects. Either you're gonna sit put or you're gonna pick the project. Technically speaking, even mutually exclusive cases, there's an additional option, which is doing nothing. If all project NPVs are negative, doing nothing has the highest NPV, so you go with that. In that case, I didn't put that into here. Just calculate the NPV for all the projects. If one of them is, at least one of them is positive, pick the one with the highest. Okay. You're probably saying, all right, we have a project criteria that satisfies all the things that we want in a project criteria. So why do we need anything else? There are a lot of different reasons why. One of them is being easier to communicate. When you talk to the so-called lay people, the people who doesn't speak the language of the money, telling them this is the net addition to the firm in present value dollars. That may or may not communicate anything to those people. Had you not taken any finance class, would that statement have made too much? Would that statement have too much meaning for you? If you're not a business major, if I told this to an English major, they probably would have checked my English first, right? This is nothing to snicker about. It's just a different language. I don't know their language, and they don't know my language. So to the extent possible, I gotta be able to sometimes communicate things in simpler way. Need to communicate value one such criterion is so-called payback period. This has been available since probably Babylonian times. It asks a very simple question. How long does it take to get my money back? It's that simple. Obviously, if it takes me 20 years, I don't like it that much. If I get my money back in 2 years, I like it better. decision criteria, decision rule, or payback decision rule. For standalone, accept a project if the payback period is less than a predetermined cutoff. Firm may say that we're not going to accept projects unless they pay themselves back within 5 years. For a lot of different reasons. There may be a lot of different reasons why the firm picked 5, but it's their policy. I work for that firm, so I'm going to have to follow that. For mutually exclusive projects, pick the project with the shortest payback, provided it would have been acceptable on its own. The project may have the shortest payback, but that payback is still longer than the cutoff, and you wouldn't accept it at all. How to calculate? I mean, we're going to do it on the template, but calculate the running cash flow, which means running cash flow in year t plus 1 is equal to running cash flow in year t plus cash flow in year t plus 1. RCF 0, it's simply negative cost of project. So you're going to look for the years where RCF is positive. That means sometimes during that year, the project is going to be in black. And prorate the cash flow that year to calculate the payback period in years. So let's look at here. It's going to cost 50 million. Then we're going to have 3 years of 12, another 4 years of 20, and so on and so forth. In the example above, RCF 0 is negative 50, right? I'm sorry, negative 50, not negative. So after year 1, I still have 38 million to recover. After year 2, still 26 to recover. Year 3, another 14 million to recover. But I'm making 20 million in year 4. So that's where I'm going to stop. That's year 4. So payoff is going to happen in year 4. First of all, right here, you know that payback period does not consider all the cash flows. Whatever happens after year 4, this criteria doesn't care. Whether you made 100 million or lost 100 million Doesn't matter. It obviously doesn't take time value of the money into account, and it doesn't tell you, it doesn't do anything about the riskiness, and it doesn't tell you anything about how much value is added to the firm. All you know is in cash flow terms, regular cash flow terms, you're going to get your money back sometime during year 4. So at the end of year 3, we still had 14 to recover. In the absence of detailed information, we're going to assume that cash flow is going to come at a uniform rate during a year. And we will make 20 in year 4. That means 14 over 20. It's going to take 70% of year 4 to recover that 14 million. Thus, payback period is 3 plus 0.7. 3.7 years. That's how we calculate. In the template, we're not even going to worry about that. Let me take care of Patel. If I don't, then he doesn't remind me. I'm going to forget. You're welcome. I mean, I barely saw you. There's somebody in direct line of sight. It's like you're being eclipsed by him. You got a small head. He has a normal head. I'm being polite. In the template, you're going to enter your cutoff. That's for the decision. But there is another input. It says, enter the year when the running cash flow turns positive. Okay. Here is running cash flow. The original number was 50 million. It's year 4, right? You just read it off and type 4 here. That's it. But since my cutoff was 3, Gillette shouldn't accept it. If my cutoff was 5 or even 4, they would have accepted it. Okay? So payback period is that easy to calculate. Either use the template or use kind of this setup. That's what the template does. I don't, technically speaking, I shouldn't even have to ask you, but it turns positive. But hey, the user should look at some stuff, right? I mean, I can do it with what you wanna call VLOOKUP stuff, but I'm not gonna worry about that. Now, this is not covered in your book, but in general, you should know this. We will also talk about a discounted payback. It's basically payback period calculated using the present value of cash flows. So in a sense, you calculate how long it's going to take you to recover your investment in today's dollars. So instead of running cash flow, I'm going to do running present value. Yes. Not necessarily inflation, because you may not have any inflation, but you may still have positive discount rate. Okay. Obviously, if inflation is there, discount rates are a lot more likely to be positive.